everyone, and welcome. It is great to have so many of you join us for our 9th webcast in the EY Women in Technology. My name is Oana Beattie, and I am your host for today. A little bit about me. I am a director of the AI and data practice at EY, and I also lead the AI Research and Innovation Lab for the UK financial services sector. In the lab, I do predominantly three things. I build AI solutions with clients and for clients. I collaborate with the broader AI ecosystem, so that includes academia, not-for-profit, legislators, regulators on responsible AI. And I also look for sponsors and active opportunities for not-for-profit. So the use of AI in solving some of the biggest challenges that humanity is facing. You could say that I am deeply passionate about leveraging data, AI, and technology innovation combined with human ingenuity to create value, to make a positive impact on society, and to try to create a world that's a little bit better than it was yesterday. But enough about me, and let's set the scene for today. We will explore the overarching topic of empowering women in AI. And we are shaping the conversation today around three main themes. Theme one will include bridging the gender gap in AI, empowering female leadership for inclusive progress. Topic two will start looking at the credibility challenge, the credibility that women are faced with, the obstacles when they are trying to influence large-scale AI transformation, but also the credibilities that the issues they are facing when they are seeking recognition for the impact that they are making in the ecosystem. And the third theme, and to flip it entirely on its head, we'll actually look at the opportunities and the advantages of being a woman in today's AI world, because I'm sure there will be loads. And with that in mind, I would love to welcome our panelists and take a few moments to briefly introduce our four impressive leaders from across both financial and non-financial services industries. I will start introducing Diana. Diana Daboveanu is the head of automation platform at Julius Baer. Diana is a dedicated professional with boundless passion for making a difference. Diana's journeys in technology industry has been marked by significant roles, including team and sector head IT at the bank Julius Baer, the principal consultant at Capco, and the project manager at Raiffeisen Bank. Her expertise in program and project management, in digital transformation, stakeholder engagement, and regulatory compliance is underscored by certifications such as PMP and Safe for Ageless. Beyond her professional achievements, though, Diana's commitment to helping others shines through her volunteer work at a homeless shelter, showcasing her genuine care for those in need. I'll move on to introduce Gabriela. Gabriela Isas is the founder and CEO of Goodwid. Gabriela is forward-thinking entrepreneur and intrapreneur with more than 30 years experiences that touches every aspect of marketing, from business strategy to innovation, through delivery, user experience, all the way to packaging and commercialization. Gabriela uniquely blends vast technical knowledge, business acumen, and thought leadership capability to drive change, and how she says it, very modestly, to get things done. And Rachel Curtis is the CEO and co-founder of Inicio. Rachel has spent 30 years in financial services arena, including places like Santander and the Chief Customer Officer for a challenger bank. Rachel currently sits as a non-executive director for a regional building society, holding the role of Consumer Duty Board champion. And you'll find out more why consumer and then consumer are such an important theme in Rachel's world. In 2021, Rachel made the switch to lead a fintech startup that has a B2B software platform and using conversational AI to help organizations to support their customers to complete detailed affordability assessments. Rachel recently graduated from Morgan Stanley. For those of you who seen or follow Rachel in LinkedIn, there was a massive billboard campaign. And Rachel secured one of only 9 places across EMEA from 4,000 applicants. So well done, Rachel, very impressive to watch. And last but not least, Sandrine Pons joins us from SAP, where she is the Regional VP Solution Sales and Innovation for the EMEA region. Sandrine brings 30 years of diverse experience across various industries. Her international journey began in management and distribution roles with the hospitality sector before making a significant move into the tech sector with Baer. Before joining SAP 18 years ago, she navigated diverse senior executive managerial roles. What sets Sandrine apart, and the reason why I'm so delighted she's joining us today, is that it's not just her technical proficiency, but also her strategic expertise and, again, results-driven approach. So if we do want to make AI a more inclusive world, it takes us driving results, driving actions. So I'm delighted that Sandrine is here. She underscores the importance of de&i, viewing it as a fundamental element contributing both to her team's achievements, but to her own leadership development as well. And I love her approach to including multicultural and generational inclusivity in her teams. And that's a topic we will explore a little bit more later today. So that's a little bit about our esteemed panel. I think as an audience, you will sense that I'm a little bit nervous, but I am so excited to hear and look forward to a rich conversation from our esteemed panel members. Before we kick off, there's a few things I would like to say. We tried to shape these 3 themes and prep some questions to get the conversation going. But audience, this is for you. This is your own, so make it your own. Please use the chat functionality to ask questions, and I promise I will do my best to read them, to call them out, and to engage our panel members in your conversation. Also, just to make you aware that there is a survey, a webinar feedback optionality at the bottom. You'll find a dedicated icon. We would welcome your feedback during or post the webinar as well. And that's it. I promise we're just starting. So the first key topic, it's bridging the gender gap in AI. And what does it take to empower female leadership for inclusive progress? For me, the underrepresentation of women in AI, it's a critical issue, and it's hindering our ability to influence the AI ecosystem. Elevating female leadership will not only address this disparity, but it will bring diverse perspective, enriching the field. I would like to start the conversation with you, Diana, if that's possible. The underrepresentation of women in AI remains a critical issue. Could you share with us what motivated you to enter a career in AI, and what advice do you have for women who might hesitate to steer or to start their careers in AI?
Hi, Oana. Thank you for the invite and as well as for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure being here, and I would also like to greet the audience and welcome everyone watching today. My interest in technology started actually with my decision to study computer science at the mathematics faculty in Bucharest, in Romania. And during my first university year, we had a 50-50% female versus male students ratio. 4 years later, when graduating, we actually had 60% women versus 40% men, as some of my male colleagues lost track on the way or decided to go for other study directions and so on and so forth. But where I want to go with this, the society back then was lacking this gender gap awareness for studies. We never even thought about the gender ratio, and we never showed up with this woman bias, which I believe is crucial as an attitude. We were simply showing up for the courses, we were following our interests and passions as individuals, and really doing the best out of our study years. I actually never even had this awareness of me activating as a woman in technology or in AI until moving out of the country and being confronted with several situations in my professional environment, where I actually realized that this is a deeply embedded stereotype. Up to this day, however, given my start in the professional career, I don't see myself as activating as a woman in AI or in technology. I simply see myself and wake up every morning as an individual, as Diana, having my daily plan, my own goals, and my strategy to reach them. And this is the advice I would like to share with the audience on this first question. Not to get in our own way as women and have doubts based on boundaries set by society. Let us find out. Sorry?
Sorry, I couldn't contain my excitement, Diana. I love this advice so much.
Now, it's really this. Let us find our interest and our passion. Try out things, also very important. Ensure that we enjoy what we are doing. And if this is the case, then just go for it. Thank you.
I love that so much. I couldn't contain my happiness when I heard your advice, because it deeply, deeply touched my heart and resonated. And I'm hoping it's inspiring the audience as well. Follow your passion. What great advice. I will take a note of it, and I think I'll plaster everywhere. You know, follow what makes you tick, follow your passion, lead by example, and only by leading by example, you'll inspire others to do so as well. Thank you, Diana. I would like to flip it a little bit and say we're all aware of how the transformative power of AI is helping us tackle some of the biggest challenges that we are facing. I'm thinking healthcare, climate change, education, poverty, social justice, and accessibility. And Gabriela, I was wondering if you could share with us your thoughts on what would some of the consequences and limitation if we fail to incorporate a diverse perspective, and if women continue to be underrepresented when developing these AI solutions.
Thank you, Oana. Yeah, I'm very pleased to be here. Listening to Diana, I was shaking my head vigorously as well. You know, we don't wake up thinking I'm a woman. I wake up thinking I'm Gabriela. What do I need to do today? So, yeah, really, it resonates with me as well, Diana. I'm on the same wavelength. But I think just practically speaking, you know, my culture is a bit different. I come from the United States. My background is, my parents are from Mexico. I moved to the UK. So I'm a child of immigrant myself. And I know that there are different ways to think and cultures and things we have to consider when considering any technology or AI. But practically speaking, not including 50% of the world's population and coming up with solutions for our needs is crazy. So I've experienced the world a bit differently because I'm an immigrant. Diana, you probably experience the world differently. Oana, the same. All of us here have experienced the world differently. And lived experiences are going to give us an idea of different biases that might affect us and might affect others. And part of the problem with leaving AI in the hands of just half the population is a problem. It's a problem in tech, and it's also a problem in AI. So increasing diversity in the teams who are designing and developing AI systems, auditing the data that's used to train AI models, and ensuring that the AI systems are transparent and explainable is critical to making AI useful for more people, more cultures, more countries. It's from a Goodwith example, we design our AI-driven solution to take a holistic scientific view and approach to building financial confidence and competence in young adults. That's kind of our narrow lane. And the data is everywhere. A report by Credit Karma showed that women paid nearly 17,000 more pounds over a lifetime for credit. And our own research shows that low confidence is what keeps women from engaging with financial services earlier. And our app is designed to address this. So our latest research shows that whilst it's for everyone, it really is attracting women. And we're able to show improved financial confidence and competence in just 2 weeks of people using the app. And this confidence leads to engage with their finances, demonstrating direct behavioral changes and encouraging them to think about money in a different way. So for us, AI is giving us an opportunity to do that at scale, to use machine learning, to use NLP, to really fix a problem that perhaps has been overlooked or not looked into very deeply. So what we're doing is approaching it in a different way, looking at how AI and technology can support what we're doing and make it scalable. And I think, we're not necessarily targeting women, but we are appealing to them, and they are the ones that need support. And diversity is key to ensuring that we're developing solutions that solve for a larger population. So not just, half of the people who might not need it, but it makes a fairer world. And it also makes for more successful companies if you're finding novel ways to address sticky problems. So I think that's the benefit of looking at these solutions in a different way from a different experience, and not just necessarily as a woman, but as somebody with different lived experience.
Thank you, Gabriela. I can certainly relate to what you have just shared, and I'm hoping that this will prompt all of us to pause, look at the problem differently, and actually maybe go beyond gender and work back from needs and solve towards those needs. Also, every little action towards a more inclusive and diversely represented AI and tech world will help all of us, as you rightly said. You didn't start just to problem solve a gender issue, but as a result, by thinking of the needs, the wants, you found a way to create inclusive solutions. Thanks. And Sandrine, I would very much welcome your perspective if it is possible for us to leverage AI to help overcome the underrepresentation of women in the industry.
Yeah, so thank you, Anna. A very good question, this one too. A critical issue in the field of AI is, as you mentioned, the underrepresentation of women in leadership roles. This is not only limits women's influence, but deprives us of diverse perspectives that are crucial for innovation and progress. Let's look at the numbers for a moment. Did you know that in tech, women occupy only 22% across European companies? That statistic alone highlights an urgent need for action. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, consider this. According to Forbes magazine, by 2033, 98% of executives believe that every job will be a tech job, making tech skills crucial in every work sector. So the lack of female representation in AI leadership isn't just a diversity issue, it's an economic imperative that needs to be addressed. At ACP, we are making good progress in this area, with women making up 35% of our workforce. But we need to do more to ensure their voices are heard and represented. So what can we do all together about it? One solution is to examine the recruitment process. This creates barriers for underrepresented groups, but technology can be part of the solution. Let's give you an example. When I run the recruitment process for a new position in my team, I use ACP's job analyzer to help create the strongest possible job posting. This software analyzes past job descriptions and candidate pool to identify involuntary biases. Then it provides specific salary and language recommendations designed to attract the most diverse and qualified talent. This predictive capability helps flag gender biases, terminology, or pay rates that could discourage certain groups for applying. The goal is to give all candidates, regardless of gender or background, and so on, an equal opportunity to see themselves in a certain role and want to learn more. So together, we need to harness the power of technology to drive positive change and create a more diverse and fair AI landscape.
That's fantastic, Sandrine. Such great, tangible, actionable examples of how we interact and how we use AI and how we think of AI in our world of work and business. If we apply it in the right way, it can actually be an ally and a friend, and it could positively drive inclusivity and remove barriers. I love those tangible examples. And just to say for the audience, I've noticed that we have a number of questions. And what I'm going to do at the end of each section, I'm going to bring a few questions for the panel. So audience, bear with me. Your questions, I'm reading them, and I'm going to inject them in a few minutes. But Rachel, if I come to you as well, there is this widespread belief that AI requires deep technical expertise, and that might prevent some people from entering this field. Could you share your perspective on this? And could you share with you what other skills and capabilities have enabled you to thrive and be so successful in this industry?
Yeah, I get the challenge and why that's asked, because I, even this morning, feel like a complete fraud sat here alongside women in technology, and that's not my background. So what I was going to do to answer the question is probably just explain how I ended up doing it. And I can see one of the questions in the Q&A already is around sort of how you make the transition. So it may be useful from that perspective. But I sort of spent 30 years in typical financial services roles, sort of Santander, as you said earlier, Challenger Bank stuff, mainly on the operations and customer experience side. So really, as you said earlier, consumer-led. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I was super anti-chatbot. So I was sort of like, no, I'd only ever seen chatbots deployed to reduce operational costs. They were never brought in from a consumer perspective. So I was fighting against them all the time. And at that point, I was, as part of a tech project, I was introduced to the new breed of conversational AI, which 4 or 5 years ago just looked amazing. I mean, even today, we see a lot of it now, but it did look amazing. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's really cool, but I still need to be shown an example where that is what the consumer would rather do. Excuse me. Now, serendipitously at that point, one of my colleagues had an interaction with a very heavily pregnant lady who was trying to commit suicide because she was in debt. And the challenge for her was that to deal with your debt, the first thing that all the companies that you owe money to want to do is get an income and expenditure form or an affordability assessment from you. And that's a really terrifying prospect if you're not great with your money and you've got into debt. So you probably need some help. And the help is given by a call center agent over the phone. And that's the last thing you want to do because you're embarrassed and you feel you're going to be judged. So a lot of people get stuck. And I went off and did some consumer research around it to understand sort of, is this sort of a typical problem? And it's really common. 1 in 8 of those in debt are now attempting suicide. And there's many reasons for that. But one of them is this barrier of how do I take the first step? And the penny dropped for me that kind of said, well, okay, we've got some really cool conversational AI technology, and we've got a group of consumers that really want help, but not from a human. And hence I kind of saw where it worked. So from that point on, for me, it was about, I understood the problem I was trying to solve, and I understood the technology I needed to solve it. Just to reassure everybody, I didn't overnight become an expert in AI or be able to use it. I still can't code anything, and I probably never will be able to, but I don't need to be able to. I work with the deep tech experts, and I guess they need me as much as I need them because I understand the consumers they're trying to apply the solution to, and they understand how to make it work. So I think it's that piece. You need both elements to bring it together and deliver great technology solutions into solving problems.
Rachel, I love your story so much. I could inject another 50 loves in there because for me, I've never looked at the AI ecosystem as just one part. Yes, the deep technology, the coding, the models, the engineering and tuning and fine-tuning and training, it's one aspect, but it's one aspect of so many multifaceted dimensions. We need ethics, we need regulation, we need a consumer lens, the demand lens, the impact lens, we need operating model, we need trainers, we need coaches, we need so many different skills that for me, AI is just a world like any other world. So if you see yourself, you might say, oh, I could never work in fashion. Why? The fashion world is so big, you could find a role within that. So I always looked at the AI as the big picture, like a world, and I will find a home within that world. And that's exactly what you beautifully put to mind, that you never even started with the deep technology in mind. That's not what attracted to you. It was that it was in service to a customer need. And you work back from that and found yourself as a transformative leader in the AI world, shaping, paving path for others to follow. How inspiring. Thank you for sharing. I guess this did answer question 1 in the chat. So thank you very much for that. And question 2 about how do I move from a non-technical, non-digital background into AI. It's not necessarily a move. You just use your skill set and you use your expertise, audience, use what you've already got, but just apply it in a new ecosystem, right? And yes, along the way, you might need to learn. I'm sure, Rachel, you come across jargon. I'm sure you had the unpleasant, that way when you go in a meeting with the deep AI technology and they start talking their own language. I still don't understand half of that. And I am at that more technical end of the AI world. But it just goes to show you will need to refine and expand your understanding, but not through impossible or deeply technical means. So the advice is start with what you already have, look for opportunities to apply it in the AI and technology world, and find a home and build and scale from there. Okay, I think that nicely concludes that first part of our journey. And we just as a reminder, we started about bridging the gender gap in AI and what it takes to empower female leadership for inclusive progress. And I remember Diana's advice that don't start with the gender, don't make it about gender, make it about passion. And now on to the second part of the panel. I would like to focus on the credibility struggles for women in AI. I think most of us can relate to situation where we faced obstacles in our ability to influence or in us being recognized for our contributions. I know I have. And based on a recent research study, women in AI encounter challenges asserting credibility, particularly when presenting transformative idea. For example, think about seeking investments and funding in AI solutions or AI-based services, or also even when pursuing promotion. And despite this hurdle, some women did manage to overcome these credibility barriers or perceived credibility barriers and made such an impact. And Sandrine, I was wondering if you could share your insights on how we can create a support system that empower more women and also help to eliminate these perceived credibility challenges.
Yeah, thank you, Anna. I see also some question really related to this topic in the chat. Yes, women in AI face lots of challenges when it comes to being taken seriously, especially when they are pitching ideas or trying to move up the ladder. Unfortunately, the tech world is still mostly run by men, and there are all these myths that make it even harder for women. Like the idea that women are not technical enough, or they can't be good leaders, or there are not enough qualified women out there. But those myths are just holding us back and stopping us from making progress. So what can we do about it together? Well, first off, we need to make sure women have the same opportunities as men to learn and grow in tech. That means more programs and training sessions specifically for women and girls, so they can build the skills they need to proceed. I like examples, so we take one of them. Let's talk about a great program that we have in France that is called Decoders. In fact, it's helping women from all kinds of backgrounds get into tech jobs. So I had the chance to mentor two amazing women from this program, ISAP. One used to be a midwife, so you see nothing to see with tech, and another one was an international gymnast. But you know what? They both worked it as developers at our team. They proved that with the right support, any women can do anything in tech. Another big part of supporting women in tech is giving them the feedback to help them grow in their careers. As a manager, I know how important it is to give fair and helpful feedback to my team. We even use AI tools to make the process smoother and more inclusive. And speaking of technology, it can actually be a big help in supporting women's careers. Take SAP talent management tool, for instance. It uses AI to give personalized recommendations to employees about how they can grow and develop in their careers. It's like having a personal coach right at your fingertip.
Wow.
So really, in the end, creating a strong support network for women in tech is all about giving them the opportunities, feedback, and tools they need to succeed. When we break down those barriers and empower women to reach their full potential, we all benefit from a more diverse and innovative tech industry.
Wow. Sandrine, a midwife and a gymnast in AI and tech? Why not?
Yes.
That is
exactly.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful that, firstly, how amazing these women are to say there's a world of AI and a world of technology, and I want to learn how I can be part of it, right?
Exactly.
And how amazing that there are programs put in place that connect these women with talented individuals that are able to give them advice or shape a path for them. Truly inspiring, Sandrine. I'm blown by what it can be
Thank
achieved.
you.
But more importantly, I hope that us in the audience, and now I'm part of the audience, I hope that we can look at this and try to take this away and apply it in our own industries, in our own companies, and challenge our employers to think more broadly. So inclusivity, open the doors, right? It's not just computer science graduates or pre-graduates that we need to get in and give them experience in the graduate programs. But to Rachel's point, how about those people that are in call centers that provide advice? How about, in your case, Sandrine, the midwives and the gymnasts? Why don't we actually break the perceived limitation of the talent pool early on and include everybody that, and in Diana's words, has a passion for it? Show a passion, and then we'll open the world up for you. How amazing. Okay, so Diana, I was wondering, maybe on a different note, and still with this kind of credibility challenges in mind, if you could help share with us, have you ever faced any credibility issues? Have you ever felt that someone was questioning your expertise as a woman in AI? And if so, how did you deal with this?
Well, Oana, it didn't happen to me once or twice, but actually several times. And I don't think it will be over at a specific point in time during my career, to be very honest. And yes, this is done in so many various ways, either by not having my presence or opinion acknowledged, or by disregarding facts which I bring to the table, or minimizing my inputs, or the classic, in my case, being told that I'm aiming too high for my age, which I've heard over and over again. And all these episodes lead really inevitably to frustrations and disappointment. And I started questioning myself, and I started questioning my capabilities and my expertise. And I think the only thing that really helped me is actually being really blessed with a fairly outgoing personality. And during such episodes, I could not content and hold the emotions for myself, but I really tend to share it with both with people I trust and with people I look up to from both professional and personal environments. I listen to their feedbacks. I try to be open to other opinions, even if it may be hurtful or painful. And during such episodes, which admittedly are not easy, but nevertheless temporary, I was always given advice and encouragement. I could define it as some sort of a mentoring, even if it's not as such in this structure, but a mentoring in itself. Book tips, because, for example, this is a very good tool for me. I really like to read. So then I got so many good tips which really helped me in specific situations. Like I made a list, which I'm also sharing now with my colleagues that I am mentoring as part of our official programs in the bank. And this is really, really a helpful tool. Of course, depending on everyone's preferences. So all in all, I really learned to lean on a support system. Going back to your question before, it's the support system. And this is the other side of the coin of constantly questioning women's expertise. Yes, there will be cases when you feel your expertise is questioned over and over again. Again, I don't think it has an end at a certain point in time. But there will also always be people who see your potential and who grant you the support and the opportunities you deserve. So make sure to identify those people, to encounter them, ask for their help, and really be ready to accept it. And just make the best out of the given opportunities, even if it may not seem as an opportunity at that specific point in time, because it's in itself a negative situation. And in my opinion, expertise really shows itself also in being always able to get back up when we are down. So yeah, it is very difficult, sometimes also being the only woman at the table. But I think with time we learn that there are also advantages to it, and we should really learn how to maximize these.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Diana. I know it's not easy, especially in such a taboo subject, because, you know, all these credibility issues, as you rightly say, there's so many different manifestations of it. It can look and feel differently, and it can impact you in different ways. But if I were to, what resonated with me is this: have your champions and rely on your support network to actually see your light and see you shine, and also to help you promote that. There's a question in the chat that says sometimes it's so scary to pitch an idea and, you know, for somebody to shut it down, and how do you cope with that? And Diana, what you said about the support network, I wonder if before pitching the idea, you infuse and you win hearts and minds in a one-by-one scenario. So if I were me and I was pitching something that was a bit transformative, I would divide and conquer the audience, right? I would take them one by one. I would tell them about why my belief in that idea, what my aim is. I would not make it about me. I would make it about the outcome. And I would ask the person to help me pitch it better. And then, you know, by the time you go in a room, you know, that maybe you have more supporters than not.
It definitely makes sense, Oana. And, you know, by the time you get into the room, you also have all the consolidated feedbacks from the dry runs, from the inputs that people gave you. So you shape your story way better. You have not only your part of the story, but you have also all the other inputs which you can incorporate. So yeah, definitely makes absolute sense.
Great. Thank you, Diana. And Rachel, I can't help thinking that maybe because your jump was so big, maybe you must have faced some credibility issues. You said that the world of AI wasn't your first rodeo. So how did you forge your own credibility in the AI space?
I guess my answer is connected to what you've just been talking about, which is the first thing I needed to establish was who did it matter that I created credibility with? Because I'm not going to be going out and chairing an amazing academic discussion on the ins and outs of, you know, NLP and LLM and in detail, because that's not my background. I don't have that knowledge to do that. So don't set yourself an unrealistic sort of target. So I guess for me, it was whose opinion matters. And back to that point around going and pitching something to somebody, who does it matter that it says yes, and then work on them. I think sometimes we get caught up in we want everyone to love us and we want everyone to say yes. And actually, some of them don't matter. And if I don't have credibility with certain people, it doesn't matter. We find that hard, but that's part of that acceptance thing. But I think the credibility I've earned has come from, and it goes back to what I said in my first answer around knowing the problem. So because I'm using the tech to solve a real world problem that I can articulate really clearly, and I can give examples, and I know it inside out, and I'm really passionate about it, and I would confidently stand up and debate that with anybody on any day, whereas I couldn't do that sort of debate on how an LLM is going to work and that kind of thing. But I don't need to. So I think that's part of the challenge for us as women sometimes, is to not beat ourselves up about what we don't feel confident in, because we probably don't need to feel confident in that. Focus on the stuff that matters, where we need to create credibility, who we need to create that credibility with, and then not apologizing for the other stuff, and just really owning what we're good at and what matters.
Thank you, Rachel. Great hints, great tips. And it's just this theme of do not make the world seem bigger than it is. Don't give power to the things that shouldn't have any power over you. Follow your passion, and your credibility comes from what you know, what you're deeply passionate about within the broader world. But just don't limit yourself. Thanks, Rachel. And Gabriela, as the founder of Goodwit, and forgive me for going there, but I think our audience might ask themselves this question. Have you encountered any difficulties in setting up your own company in AI?
Absolutely. So in startups, everything is about credibility, who you are, what you've done, and credibility leads to money. So we're a 100% female-founded fintech. We're 60% female team. All of that is fantastic, and I love it every single day, but it's very difficult to raise money when you're 100% female-founded in fintech. Generally, the statistics for startups are dire. 2% of all the VC money goes to female-founded companies. So that's what we're starting out with. So really, the credibility and the journey we have to find a different way. Rather than might be traditional angels or VCs. So in our particular journey, we went through Innovate UK grants. So to get us off from concept through to something we can show, we went and applied for grants. And these grants are super competitive, but they're not judging us in the same way as a VC or an angel might judge us. They're not looking at our gender. They're looking at the application. They're looking at our concept. Is it a step change in innovation? What they're looking at is completely different, and it's on paper, so they don't actually see us. So what we managed to do is present a compelling case for taxpayer-funded grants. And that was how we got off the ground, how we got Goodwit off the ground. But we started building with smaller grants and showing our impact. At each grant, we were able to show how we were reducing money-related anxiety in young adults. At each step, we were saying, these are the hypotheses we're going to prove, and we proved it, and we show impact. And then we go on to bigger grants, more money, more investors, and really, the practical tips are, even with whatever you have, whatever small budgets you have, try to show an impact, get out there. I'm an introvert. Getting out there, it takes a lot of effort for me. Talking about what we're doing, talking about how we're making an impact, and really being visible, and then building traction on that visibility. So my biggest tip is really being relentlessly resourceful. Get out there any way you can, and don't give up. If it's something you believe in and something you think will make a change in society, that's what Goodwit is for me. Keep going. It'll happen.
Gabriela, that's amazing. I'm hoping that there will be some in the audience who are having ideas and thoughts. Maybe the person who said, I'm worried about pitching this thing. I don't want it to be shut down. And I'm hoping that the audience will walk away with some of your hints and tips. It's, go and explore different avenues for funding, start showing the value, build up on that momentum and find your resilience and keep going. Thank you, Gabriela. Although some of the stats you shared, they're striking in their imbalance. Let's say it that way. And I'm sure there's something more that we can do to bridge that gap. This nicely wraps up the second theme of our journey together. And I would quickly like to move us on to the final theme, which is about what about the positive sides of being a woman in AI? What about the advantages? Are there any? And how can we actually leverage those? And Rachel, I was wondering if you have any views on how women can leverage, the fact that the AI world is so diverse and it's shaping and evolving. How can we use the fact that we are women to our best advantage?
Yeah, so I guess, making impactful contributions in the space is really about finding those, and I'm going to sound like a bit of a broken record here because I'm going to come back to purpose. And it's basically, if you've got an innovative, relevant application of technology that is solving a powerful problem, that's half your battle. So if you've got that really clear purpose, and I think women tend to be quite good at that as a natural sort of skill set of understanding and having that purpose and clarity around it. So getting the problem, telling the story in a powerful way. And I think some of the things that we're suited to around kind of, particularly in my space, I guess, empathy has been a real useful sort of tool and characteristic. The emotional intelligence side of it as well, to be able to tell that story and explain sort of the impacts on people's lives. Understanding of consumers and sort of what the impacts are there. And it's hard to look at some of the stories that we see, but then they create really powerful stories to be able to sell back to people around, as Gabriela just talked about the challenges. We've had the same challenges of fundraising, absolute nightmare as female founders. But where I have managed to get funding, it's because people have really bought into what we're doing, not how we're doing it. It's the what and the why that's been really powerful.
Fantastic, Rachel. Thank you. And Gabriela, I was wondering if you have any build-up points on this. Is there anything that we can do to drive representation of women to actually benefit, to include more of the female perspective?
Absolutely, absolutely. And, soft skills are critical. Don't underestimate your experiences. You might think that you're alone in experiencing this problem or this pain. Don't underestimate it, because if you can go out there and research it and figure out that, thousands of people are experiencing the same pain, then it's a lived experience that you might have that others won't. So go out there, explore it. If you're passionate about it, go for it, try it, really go out there and use your own lived experience.
Fantastic. And Sandrine, any build-up points from you? We can't hear you, Sandrine. Let's see.
AI is the future. We must educate ourselves and the next generation, in a really inclusive manner. Education is really key and will banish the myth that tech is best practiced by men. It will be broaden our AI solutions, and it will make tech a more attractive career choice for the next generation of women. And there are plenty, there are really plenty of online groups, platforms that are just for women who want to study technology. And we can share a QR code just after for anyone online who want to register. We have a platform called Immersive Journey that really is open for everyone and really helping to learn, explore new technology and trends. Yeah, I can say a lot and a lot more here. Oana, but I would like maybe to use one quote that I like, and I like to also mention some quote. And there are one from Ellen Powell who say, we need to understand that if we all work on inclusion together, it's going to be faster, broader, better, and more thorough than anything we can do on our own. So I will mention that to you all.
Oh, that's amazing, Sandrine. What an inspiring quote. And Diana, last but not least, based on everything that we have discussed today, what are your thoughts on the key elements that will enable us to overcome any potential limiting factors in AI?
First and foremost, I think doing more of this, what we are doing today, which is exchanging real life experiences, sharing our stories, especially the non-successful ones, because this is how we grow. Giving back to the community and really empowering other women with potential and with interest to take bigger steps during their journey. There is this saying, you can't be what you can't see. And I believe courage is something really that needs to be trained, and we can achieve this for the next generation by mentoring programs, customized recruiting events, as my brilliant colleagues here mentioned, practical workshops, conferences. Just as an example, I will be participating in June in the European Women in Tech conference in Amsterdam, and I'm so looking forward to this because it's getting me more energy and inspiration from the speakers of the event. There's a fantastic lineup of speakers with keynotes and workshops, among which, by the way, AI is one of the top priors. And I believe exactly we should facilitate the access also to such platforms in order to contribute to building well-rounded ecosystems. And I think one more key success factor is reskilling and upskilling. Goes back also to the points my colleagues made. All the reskilling and upskilling initiatives in AI, where disruptions are really becoming certainties nowadays. One must really try out the available capabilities. This is my real advice. Integrate them in daily life. See what they are best aimed for, how they react. I just want to mention very quickly one trivial example of myself. A few weeks ago, I was looking for the best parking opportunity in another city where I was attending an event. And I made a small Google research and so on. And then I thought, let me just get another opinion. And I inquired ChatGPT on this by giving it all the background info, where I wanted to go, what I wanted to achieve, and so on and so forth. And it answered me completely theoretically and made a summary of the whole parking possibilities and opportunities and infrastructure in that specific city. And it was not able to help me anyhow further, which made me realize in the next second, wait, it's actually not the best capability when planning a trip or when wanting to find out such information. It's not its focus point. My first reaction, to be very honest, I felt really like a fraud. Again, the imposter syndrome. I thought to myself, oh, now I'm speaking in a few weeks at the Women in AI webcast, and I'm using ChatGPT to tell me where to best park. But trial and error in such cases is really essential. So don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, to understand the AI capabilities, to integrate them in your daily life, and just develop the skills in order to also overcome this gender bias.
Thank you, Diana. And we have about a minute left. And in this minute, I would like to inject any top tips. Rachel, could you leave the audience with any top tips from you?
Understand the problem, and then you can't argue, and you'll have the confidence that you need to see it through.
Gabriela?
Yes, I would say just if you're passionate about something, if you're passionate about AI, don't let anybody or anything stop you. You can do it. Just take that first step.
Sandrine?
Think, dream big, and make your dreams happening. Never stop and listen to others. Be confident. Believe in yourself. There's no limits. The sky is the limit. No limit, guys.
Yes,
So
no limits. Diana?
Own your gender, trust your intuition, and remain authentic and positive within the traits you bring to the table.
And from me, stay curious, stay connected, and be a part of this amazing, fast-paced, chaotic, but also rewarding and impactful AI world. And apologies if I haven't answered all your questions, dear audience. We will take some offline, we will reach back, and I hope you enjoyed the journey we have been on. Thank you all. And hopefully we'll see you down the line to some of the amazing conferences lined up in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Oana.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye all.